This is Dr. Ann-Louise Lockhart from A New Day Pediatric Psychology. Hello again. So in case you're late to the party, this is October, and I think fall has officially hit. And so it's been chilly here in San Antonio. It went from like 90 to 45. There's a lot of funny memes out there for that. So there's a bunch of different awareness month things going on that I wanted to draw attention to. So I teamed up with a bunch of people to collaborate with and to be able to talk about different issues. So I'm so excited. We had 4 last week talking about bullies, talking about domestic violence awareness, because it's bully prevention awareness month. It's domestic violence awareness month. We talked about just really a lot of really good, important topics. We also talked about classroom management strategies for kids who may be dealing with a bunch of different things in the classroom and how to manage that. And what else did we talk about? I'm losing my train of thought. There's something else I'm not remembering right now. So, we talked about some really good things, and I'm very excited to be teamed up and collaborating with all the people that are out there. Oh, SIDS Awareness Month with Dana. That's right. And so there's some really good things that we've been talking about. So this week, we're going to be talking today with Marlene Spence of Cornerstone Family Services and Rewardums, and we'll talk a lot with her. She is a behavior consultant in Toronto, Canada. Also, we're going to be talking a lot about visual schedules for kids with ADHD, because October is also ADHD Awareness Month. So we'll be talking a lot about that and how visual schedules, when done right, can actually be helpful for these kids. So let's give you guys a chance to log in, give Marlene a chance to log in and hook up with me here so we can start talking about this really good, important topic. All right, let's see who we have out here. Thanks. I appreciate all your support too, Theodore. I really appreciate that. Okay. Hi there. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. All right, so I'm just waiting on Marlene here. Okay, Marlene, go ahead and give me a call, okay? And join up so that we can start our discussion. I'm so glad. I'm so happy that you could join. All right. And if you guys can put down also where you are calling or kind of logging in from, that'd be great. I want to see who we have represented here. Let's see. Marlene, it's not working for you? You're not able to request me? I was having this problem last week when we were talking about bullying. There we go. Okay, give us a few seconds. Work out the bugs. Okay. Yay!
So different being on the other end.
That's all right. We had a big issue last week. So then the person I was interviewing had to start, Vanessa, and then I had to join her. And then I was like, I had to restart my phone. I'm like, really? You've been working good all day? So here you are. Yes, great. I'm glad you could join. So this is Marlene Spence. She's a behavior consultant from Toronto, and she's going to talk to us about her product as well as just visual schedules for kids with ADHD. And so, as you guys have questions, feel free to post them, and we'll be sure to address them as well, and kind of go from there. So, all right. So, Marlene, we're talking about visual schedules for kids with ADHD. Why is this important?
So I love talking visuals because I almost find it's this hidden tool that a lot of parents don't use. And once they start using it, I get so many reports of what a difference it's made in their lives. Okay. So why is it so important?
Well, let's talk about
Number
what
one,
is a visual schedule to begin with, because some people may not be like,
yeah,
what the heck
so
is
what
a
is a
visual
visual schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a visual schedule is basically allowing your child to have visual cues. It's a visual cue to tell your child of what the expectations are, or what is expected of them, or what they're even going to be doing. So, for example, your morning routines, as parents, we repeatedly say the same things over and over again.
Yes.
And so a visual schedule will allow you to have a schedule, and it can be anywhere that you find that benefits your child, and it allows them to be able to know exactly what they need to do, when they need to do it, what the expectations are. So it's almost like when we wake up in the morning, we look at our day planner, and we know, okay, so this is what we're going to do. This is this, and we jot down, what we want to do, our to-do list. It's exactly that. It's for kids.
Right. So that it's like their own little mini planner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I always say, kids are so familiar with visual schedules because in daycares and in classrooms, as soon as you walk into a daycare or as soon as you walk into a classroom, you see the classroom schedule, right? That outlines what exactly you're going to be doing that day. Do they have gym? Do they have science? Do they have, your kid wants to know what is happening today.
Right. They thrive off of schedule, boundaries, and structure.
Yes.
And I've had kids tell me that, even recently a kid was like, yeah, I knew I was coming to see you, Dr. Lockhart, because it was in my planner. It was in my schedule. And so they knew it was different from other days, but they knew because it was written down for them. They had discussed it and it was written right there. So they knew when they were going to be withdrawn early from school. It helps to build.
That's it exactly.
Right.
Yes. And so it sets the clear expectations, right? There's no more, I didn't really know, I had to brush my teeth. Or I didn't know that you really wanted me to clean my room and do the dishes. Right? I thought you just wanted me, to do one of those.
Right.
So it really sets those clear expectations of, here, this is your list. And I love it because depending on your child, really, your visual schedule can come in many forms. So I have made many visual schedules, and they're really different for a lot of kids. So some kids really just thrive on, a list with checkboxes. Right. And some, the visual cues go a little further, right?
Right. Right.
So visual schedules can be,
And I've even used it for kids who are really, really young and even not very verbal, because the visual cues of the picture can be really helpful, because I've seen it in preschools even, where people will use something at the kid's desk or at the front of the classroom, but they have a picture of a toilet when it's bathroom time, and a picture of, a mat for story time, whatever it is, that they know exactly what to expect when. So it can be used for all kinds of kids. So what ages do you feel like it works well, starting and then ending?
So I would say starting at 2.
Okay.
Starting at 2 is amazing because, and when you're starting at 2, you can just do the pictures. So let's just say, you want them to, you're going to wake up and have breakfast, brush your teeth, and you're out the door. Just having pictures of saying, okay, this is what we're going to be doing this morning. I personally love to accompany the pictures with words. So it's fantastic with the word recognition, right? You get your early literacy skills going in there as well. Right, because I gotta add it all in there. But yeah, right, 2 I think is such a good start. And again, preschools have visuals everywhere.
Right.
A parent actually just sent me a visual today of her child's daycare in the bathroom, where it had it had visuals of the steps of when you're in the bathroom.
Exactly.
What do you need to do? Right, washing your hands was in there. And because we kind of had the debate of, she was like, I don't know, I think 2 is too young. And when she was, and then again, she went into her daycare of her daughters, and she was like, oh, okay. Maybe it's not.
It's interesting when you say that, because even when I go to the airport and there's a schedule for the cleaning staff, housekeeping staff, in terms of when they check and how often they should check this, and and there's a schedule for them. It may not have pictures on it because they're adults, but it's the same concept. Is that sometimes we need reminders for it so that we know what to do. I mean, they're all over our environment all the time, and we use them as adults all the time too. So,
absolutely,
yeah, exactly. And why is it important, especially with ADHD Awareness Month and talking and focusing on that? Why are visual schedules important for kids with ADHD and other executive functioning issues?
So again, kids with ADHD and executive functioning, their short-term memory is not very good, right? So they have a hard time retaining information, being able to, their working memory also, right? So being able to hear, a few instructions and then be able to remember those instructions to continue doing what they're doing is very difficult. You know what? And I even say it's sometimes difficult for me as well. As a very visual learner, my auditory is not always that good. And so, even when it comes to things like, again, a lot of times we spew a lot of information out to our kids. And then we're like, I don't understand why you haven't done that. I told you to go upstairs, wash your hands, brush your and put on your pajamas, and then get the red socks and put on the red socks. And I can't understand why you didn't do that. And it's not that your child is trying to necessarily be defiant, but again, because their working memory, short-term memory is limited, right? Everything you've just said, they've probably just heard the one thing, and it was get the red sock.
Right. And now they have it in their hand doing nothing that you told them. Right. And then you yell and you get mad, and then they get upset but it's the same routine every day. How do you not remember this?
Yes.
It's frustrating. Yes. It's frustrating.
It is very frustrating. And the other thing too is I think kids also become very dependent on our verbal instructions a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's like, oh, what, mom? Or what, dad? What did you tell me to do? And it's like, no, okay, so I'm not going to say this again. I want you to just go look at your visual schedule. Really gives them such a, they really feel like more independent and more confident because now they don't have to go to you with okay, I have the red sock, but what did you say was supposed to do with the red sock? I was supposed to put it on. Is it going in the laundry? What am I doing?
Right.
So again, if your steps are there and it's in an area where it can act as a really good visual cue reminder for them, it is so, so, so important.
I agree. I totally agree. I have trauma memories just thinking about that with my own children many times that it's okay, it's the same routine. It's been the same routine for your entire life. How is it that you don't remember this? And so when I have the visual schedule up, when I've taken it away, I see the big difference. And sometimes if they don't look at it, then it makes a difference, but being able to give them cues to know what is next, it can be so helpful so they can really see what is next. Because I think you're right. I mean, they do get dependent on us always barking commands, nagging, yelling, and then they don't get to be able to learn what they're supposed to do and have independent thinking, and to be able to independently do things on their own. And I think that's so important. So, yeah, definitely. Okay, so then talk about then visual schedules. Why are they good? And we talk about why they're all, helpful and how they can be beneficial for kids. So let's talk about then the rationale behind it and how it's good for parents and children. So you talked earlier about being simple and all those different things. So, let's talk to our listeners about, how can it benefit them if they were to use that for their kiddos?
Yeah, so again, I always get, you're going to talk less, just as we said. It's for your own sanity. No. But again, just forget the kid. Do it for you. Do it for you. Do it for you. But no. So again, it really sets those clear expectations, right? And it reduces a lot of that anxiety of, okay, I didn't know like after playing video games I was gonna have to shower, or I didn't know like after snack time was homework. And then the thing is, sometimes our schedules do change, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes, if you come home and it's snack and then homework, well, something's happening today. You weren't able to, do this. And so the schedule's going to change. And so just being able to have that, again, to be able to have a flexible schedule where you can change your visual schedule and be like, okay, things have changed, guys. We're kind of doing things in a different order, but here's what we're going to be doing. And again, just that sense of, okay, now, again, I know what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And again, in classrooms, right, when you have those special things like assemblies and it throws off, we're going to have a fire drill, we're going to do these things. Having them know that ahead of time really just helps them reduce a lot of the anxiety that, them wanting to talk back. Mm-hmm. And this just them having a lot of those tantrums of, no, I don't want to do that, or I didn't know that was going to be happening. I didn't know we were going to be going to grandma's today. Like you didn't tell me. Mm-hmm. You just told me like to shut off my my video game, and you just said put your stuff on. We're going to grandma's.
Right.
But if they knew that ahead of time, they had that visual schedule, and they had the kind of the flow of the day of what's going to be happening, you would see that they definitely will be a lot calmer. Still might chat back a little bit. Mm-hmm. But it really reduces that anxiety that they would have of being able to transition from one thing to the next.
So really, visual schedules are they're simple, like we talked about earlier. They eliminate a lot of the verbal instructions that you have to give all the time. It really sets very, very clear expectations in terms of what they know is supposed to be happening next. And it kind of eliminates anxiety, eliminates you mentioned earlier when we were talking too about the he said, she said, what dad said versus what mom said, right?
Yeah.
So they're not like pitting you against each other in terms of what's happening, because they know what's happening, right?
But exactly. And that happens so often in homes, right? I hear, especially when it's like mom, dad, grandparents living in the home. Grandma says, go downstairs and eat first, and then, brush your teeth. Mom says, brush your teeth, then go downstairs, right? And the poor child is like, okay, on Monday when mom was home, I had to do this. And on Friday when I'm with grandma, I have to do this. So having your visual schedule of this is what's going to happen in the morning routine. So, this is what everyone's going to follow.
Right. And they know what to expect. And I think that the other important part that people need to be aware of too is that kids for quite some time are very concrete in their thinking, right? They're very literal. They're very like here and now, things that they can touch, things that they can interact with. And when you're telling them something or a concept, that's very abstract. And they don't have a lot of that critical thinking yet. And so visual schedules are also really helpful because it shows them concretely the visual words and the pictures of what to be expected, right? So that whether you think you're dirty or not, taking a bath is still part of the schedule. It's not an option. That's part of it.
Yeah.
And it eliminates a lot of the dilly-dallying, because then they're not like ho-humming in terms of, I don't know what to do next. It's actually right there for them, right? So that it's really clear. How late should kids, how like old? So 2 is the youngest. When can we stop using them?
When do we stop? You know what? I would say we never stop. Do you have a day planner?
Yes, I do.
Yes. And so do I. And do you feel lost without your day planner?
Heck yeah. There's a few times when I've forgotten it and I was like, dang it. Because then I don't know. And I actually like to write stuff down. And so when I don't have it is, Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, as adults, these are things that we commonly do. Everyone uses some kind of day planner, whether it's digital, whether, it's in the book form. We always kind of write down our to-do lists. What are we going to do today? And so it's so important, again, that we give the kids those tools. Because what happens is, too, then they become adults. And the organization of like, I don't know, like the thought process of like, I have to think about my whole entire day. Like, wow, okay. Instead of taking everything kind of minute by minute. So we're basically
again,
training them up, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and so important, again, with kids with ADHD, right? Because that organization piece, a lot of times is missing as well. And so it really gets them into, okay, organizing their day and their thoughts, and allows them to kind of think and process and work that through.
Right, definitely. And I hear that a lot when I get calls from college-age students who are stressed or just flunked out a semester or overwhelmed by their schedule. Many times it's because they never learned how to keep a schedule. They never know how to plan their week and their day and their semester. So then when they have one class on a Wednesday from 10 to 11:15 and they're like, whoa, all this free time. It's like, actually, you don't have a lot of free time. That should be studying and projects and research. But if they've never learned to plan their day, they don't know how to do that. And so I think it's a really good way to kind of groom kids positively regarding how to manage their time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yes, exactly. And so the time management, their concept of time is so different. And even with the same thing with my kids too, I find they're like, oh yeah, I am going to do my homework. I am going to read. I am going to do this project. And I'm thinking, I think you don't realize you have 2 more hours until bedtime. Right. So let's plan out, when exactly we're going to do this. So visual schedules, again, can be your daily task. But it can also be things like, okay, you have your project due on the 29th. When are we going to plan and organize and write that out on your calendar and make a schedule of when are you going to get each thing done? Right. So when we're talking about ADHD and executive functioning, we have different areas, right? We've got organization, that visual schedules help with that. Planning. Yeah. Impulse control. Yeah. I think so, because if you're planning something, you're not going to impulsively do something else because you already have in your mind what you're supposed to be doing, right? Right. Let's see, what else are we? So you might not go to your video game right away because wait, I gotta sweep the floor first and then do that. Right. Decision making is another executive functioning skill. Well, it's written out for them, so then the decision is to do the next thing on the list, right? Or another thing that I suggest, even with the decision making. So, and I do this with my kids who are not ADHD, but you can also do it with your kids with ADHD. Sometimes I say, these are the things that you have to do. And I want you to decide when it's going to happen, right? Or when do you think is the best times of the day or in this moment, or the order that you should have happen, that they should happen in. Yeah. So that could be the decision-making piece. Right. Okay. And then what about judgment? That's another executive functioning skill. How does visual schedules help with that? Might not be able to check that box. Maybe not one. Maybe not. Personality. Well, I mean, we can help create a more organized type of personality because instead of being all frazzled and anxious and unsure about what to do next, you're kind of helping shape their personality with that. Emotional regulation. Could that help with that? Yes. Okay. In what way? So again, being able to, again, know that they're going to be going from maybe an unpleasant thing, going from a desired, a preferred activity, playing a video game or playing outside, and then going inside to take a bath. But being able to process that and to be able to think that, and so that their reaction of when it actually comes. Exactly. Well, and Melissa wrote, making good versus poor choice is good judgment. Love that. Exactly. Thank you. So that's how yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, if you're deciding, okay, I can make a good choice and just do what's on the schedule, or I can freak out. Right. So that's great. I love that. So it's really tackling all the different kind of executive functioning skills and really helping to strengthen that. A lot of different interventions don't actually do that very well. And I think that's how visual schedules can be really helpful. So that's awesome. I love that. So how does that work then? So we decided, okay, we know the rationale. We know that we can decrease tension and make our lives less stressful as parents and adults. How do we
do it? How do we implement it? What does that look like? How do we even know what to include?
Right. So again, you need to start with each child is going to be different. So it's important to know what your child, know what the needs are, know where they're falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Where are those moments you feel like you're just like, oh my gosh, right? Like, yes, you do have to brush your teeth again in the morning, every morning. And so tackle one maybe section of the day, or again, the problem areas that you find are the most problematic. The visual schedules that I have available for Rewardum right now are morning routine, bedtime routine, and after school routine. And so those are just the basic. Those are kind of just your basic routines, that everyone kind of falls apart at doing. And then I would say, again, your visual schedule should be, it's a visual cue and a reminder, right? Mm-hmm. And so it needs to be in areas where your child's going to actually be able to look at it and remember.
Right. So where's it? So
I've had, sorry, say that again?
Where would be a good place to keep the schedule?
Yes. So again, depending on your child. So something like your morning routine, right in the bathroom, right in the mirror, right on the counter, right there in their face.
Right.
Could be in a hallway. Could be in a hallway, could be in the bathroom. And again, you're going to divide, like, depending on, an afternoon schedule of, you're going to have snack, homework, then it's dinner. Something like that, again, would probably go in a common area. So your family room, the kitchen, somewhere, maybe right when you come in. The things like pack your backpack. What are the things you need to pack your backpack? Things like that might be right by the door, right by your backpack. So I find this is why sometimes individuals find, or parents find, that visual schedules don't work.
Yeah.
Is because they're not ready and available and visually there for parents to see.
Yeah.
And so that is definitely the key. Yeah.
Well, and Melissa wrote too, ask them what would make their day easier so there's less yelling. So what does the child need? So do you think it's a good idea to include the kid and your child when you're creating the visual schedule? So it's not all you, it's like actually like what would be helpful to them, right? It's not all about you. Yeah, you want to make your life easier, but what do they need, right? Great point, Melissa. Yeah.
Yes, and it's a fantastic point. And again, even just so many other things, we forget to involve the child. Include the child. Very important. And a lot of times when you say, what's going to help you? Like, what kind of need? Like, what do you want on your checklist? What are things, I've noticed you're forgetting to do this. Mm-hmm. Do you think we need to add that, or kind of so that's really important as well.
Right. And kind of getting buy-in from the child, So, I see that you've been having a real struggle with this. You get frustrated with me. I get frustrated with you. Let's have an easier morning. What would make your morning easier? What do you feel you struggle with? How about creating a schedule to give you cues to remember, and then that way they can be involved in it and making sure it's not too overwhelming. Because again, with the organization piece, for kids with ADHD, you don't want to have too many steps because then that could be overwhelming, right? So you want to chunk things so that it's in like 3s and 4s, maybe 5s at the most, so that they're knowing what to expect and they don't get like bombarded and overwhelmed by all the stuff they have to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So what else, why else would a visual schedule not work? Is there any reason why it wouldn't work? Or why, or rather, when do they not work? When do they fail? No. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. It does. So they fail again when you're not consistent with it. So if you're going to have a visual schedule, you need to encourage your child to actually use the visual schedule. So, again, it's reducing that we love to talk a lot.
Yes.
So reducing them. And now just saying, when they're asking, what was I supposed to do? What's the next step? You're sometimes don't even say anything. You're just pointing to your visual schedule. Mm-hmm. Or you're just saying, check your visual schedule. I don't know.
Right.
And so that is so important that we're just consistent with it. And even when your child, So another thing is too, so sometimes they get used to, the schedule in one spot, and then they begin to ignore it. So being able to then, maybe they have to actually check everything off. Maybe they move one step after it's done and put it in another spot to say this has been completed. Maybe you move the visual schedule or the checklist into a different area so that it is something that's fresh again and that they do remember.
Right. What if
I love when kids actually make their own.
Yes. Yeah. I love it when they can be involved in the process because they're more invested, right? What if the child just flat out refuses to do it? Like, this is dumb. I don't need no schedule. I know what I need to do.
Okay, so this is where Rewardum, you gotta reward them. And that's where Rewardum came from, because it is so important that you praise, even if they've just followed 2 steps in your schedule, you want to praise and continue so that they will continue. And so again, you might start out with, and if you find that your child's like, oh, whatever, and be like, hey, you want to make sure it's fun. Just, again, start light, maybe 2 or 3 steps. Do it together.
Yes.
Maybe, don't just be like, okay, here's your schedule. We figured it out. Now, make sure you do it. Some kids are going to need you to do it together for a few times so that it's fun. And just start with maybe, just 2 or 3 things on the list, and then praise, right? You want to make sure that there's a lot of positive affirmation. There's a lot of encouragement to continue. And I guess also what I have found too is the realness of it, saying you don't want a schedule? Mommy uses the schedule all the time. Look, come look at my schedule, right? This is the schedule that mommy has. What? Didn't you know you had to follow a schedule at school? Have you never noticed, the schedule that you see at school? It tells you when you have math and when you have gym and when you have science. That's a schedule that you're following. Yeah. So just bringing the realness of it to let them know, hey, when we go to the movies, there's a schedule. There is a schedule for the movie.
Right. You can't just start playing movies whenever you want to.
Right.
Yeah. And then Melissa brought
so letting you know.
And Melissa put up, if the child is so defiant, what is happening with your relationship? You need to build rapport more. And it's true. It's if there's so much pushback, I think that it's really important to figure out, okay, what's going on here with us? And it could be that because of all your yelling and screaming and constant nagging, that it has been ruptured and, needs to be repaired and connected again. So when you start doing something that's collaborative, they're probably going to be like, wait, hold up. You always bark your commands at me. You're always telling me what to do. Now, what am I supposed to do now that it's collaborative? And some kids are going to have a hard time with that. So I think that's where the empathy comes in, right? You just say, I know that, mommy wants to do something different. Daddy wants to do something different. We don't like yelling all the time. Let's do something different. Don't enjoy that. Yeah. It might seem like
and us being an example. Yeah, I know.
We don't. Deep down inside, yes.
Yeah. And us just being an example as well, right? If your child's always seeing you frazzled and kind of in the whim, we're okay, now we're gonna do this, and you kind of have no schedule. Everything is again very spontaneous. Not like there's anything wrong with being spontaneous, but there's sometimes, right? You gotta have a plan. So I find as a parent, if sometimes you're very spontaneous, or you're very you're not very good at your time management, your kids pick up on that as well.
That's true,
right? And so and so a lot of times they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're putting me on a schedule," and you're like,
"Look at you!
You can't even get out the door."
Right? Look in the mirror first, Mom. So is there anything else that we did cover that you think are important for people to know about visual schedules and just kind of that whole concept, why they work, why they don't? Anything else that you think would be important to address that we didn't talk about?
No, I think we covered a lot. Again, I just want to say they're so important.
Yeah.
They're so important. Again, when we think of our own lives, we think of, actually, I don't think we realize how much we rely on visuals ourselves.
Yes.
And I think we don't realize, like, when someone asks you for a coffee and they're like, okay, I want a, cream, black, half of shot of whatever. What do? You go like, oh, okay, you need to write that down, right? Like, that's way too much information for me to remember here.
Yeah.
And so we do that a lot of times. But yet again, when we spew out like a bunch of orders to our kids, or we've like asked them to do something in like a 20-word sentence.
And then we lose it when they don't get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, yes. And so I just think it's definitely so important. It brings back such a calm into your home.
Definitely. Melissa brought up the point. Sometimes parents have ADHD too. Yes. Yeah. It is hereditary, right? And so many parents who have it don't realize they have it because we didn't get diagnosed back in the day,
Right.
You just were kind of like out there or disorganized or couldn't hold down a job or whatever thing that people said about you that weren't very nice. And then, then you have kids and you're like, wow, I'm seeing myself in this child, or you are denying it. And sometimes it's, the reason why you're disorganized and frazzled and stressed and everything is it's probably because of some of those executive functioning things that are going on with you. Mm-hmm. Or just that because you're overstressed and overtired, that impacts your executive functioning. And so I think that's where having a schedule can be good because, people call it like the witching hour, I think is what it's called, right? From like 6 to 8 or whatever p.m. So they're home and they've relaxed. And now it's like, that's the time when most parents are losing it because you're trying to cook dinner, get them ready for bed, get them ready for the next day. And it's crazy. And so having something that's structured can be really helpful and reduce a lot of that stress. Definitely. Right. Okay. So, thank you so much for joining me today, Marlene. That was really, really good information. So let people know how they can get in touch with you. Tell them about your product because you do have a product to help with visual schedules, and then how they can get that as well too.
Yes. Okay. So you can find me at Rewardums on Instagram, also rewardum.com. And so this is really excited about the visual schedules because they just recently launched about 5 months ago. And so, and here's an example of one. Eat snack. It's time to eat snack. And so I'm really excited about this because I am all about visual schedules, and I just found out there in the market there weren't visual schedules that allowed you to be able to place your visual schedule wherever you needed it. Because it always had some kind of magnet or Velcro, right? And so it went on your magnet, or you took the magnet, you put it on your fridge, and then you were expecting your kid to follow through with, morning routines while it was on your fridge. And, or you would have to nail something to the wall. I was just tired of it. So these are restickable. It's very sturdy and it's restickable. And it comes in a pack of 30. And again, it's your basic morning routine, afternoon routine, and bedtime routines. Mm-hmm. And you can stick them anywhere. So it can go right there in the bathroom, right on the mirror, right there so your child, as soon as they get into that bathroom, they know exactly.
That's great. So spell it out for them so they know exactly what the website is.
Yes. So, what just happened?
I don't know. How come we lost you?
Oh.
There you go.
Okay, so it's Rewardum. So REWARDUM.com.
Okay, great. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to her at Cornerstone FS here on Instagram. Or, if you have questions for me as well, you can send those to me. And then that way we'd be happy to answer any questions you have about visual schedules, ADHD, executive functioning, compliance, any of that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is whether you're doing these things or not is you always want to make sure you connect and have a relationship with your kids. Because if your kids don't feel connected to you, then they're not going to feel that they're going to want to do anything that you say. So the connection and the relationship are always key first. Right. Every time.
Yeah.
So no amount of intervention
and
no
I can talk
amount.
About that. I can even talk about that.
Yes. No amount of intervention is gonna help if you don't have a relationship with your kid. That's whether you're in the classroom.
Because they're not fighting the schedule. They're not fighting your visual schedule. They're fighting you.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you find that you're doing a visual schedule and it's crashing and burning, it's not because of the visual schedule. It's probably because of the connection in the relationship. Yes. So thank you so much for joining again, guys. This week we have other things for Awareness Month. We have on Thursday, make sure I got my schedule here. On Thursday at 5 p.m. Central, I have Whitney Hawkins. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and she's going to talk about breast cancer, getting and giving support for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And then on the 19th at 8:30 a.m. Central, I'll be talking with Terry Manrique about postpartum depression. Since we're talking about pregnancy and infant loss and those things as well, we want to bring awareness to that topic as well. So I'll be posting those things on my page and be able to address those things because it's about the holistic part, right? Yeah. Understanding all parts of ourselves and our lives so that we can be healthier as individuals and for our children. So, all right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Larhart.
Of course. Thanks for joining, and I appreciate you so much. Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.